Okay, so I'm going to be talking today to everyone about learning iOS development with Swift and my journey of learning Swift with iOS development and a compare and contrast of now and the future. This is Melbourne CocoaHeads 182. My name is Dylan Armstrong. I'm a student at Swinburne. About me, my career so far. So I've currently worked as a senior IT tech for an online ordering and point of sale company. I have 3.5 years experience in the industry. I previously worked in cloud, in QA, in DevOps. I'm also a WorldSkills National Cloud Computing Competition winner in AWS, as well as state, and I was competing overseas last year. And I'm an aspiring computer science researcher and academic. So not let me go next, there we go. What have I been learning at university? I've been learning the two subjects I want to particularly highlight here, which I think have the most relevance to my app, is object-oriented programming and software development for mobile devices. My learnings regarding these, as I learnt about the basic OO concepts like encapsulation, object-oriented design, programming, abstraction, that sort of stuff. Also learnt about Kotlin in mobile development subjects, learnt about view models, live data, mutable, immutable data, XML layouts, etc. No Jetpack Compose. I don't know why they haven't updated it, but that's all right. My outcomes in terms of what I've been learning is I built a text-based adventure game in C#, that was Swinburne Adventure. Built a drawing program with SplashKit in C#, which is like a framework for building little shapes, a library that you add to a C# application. Built a video game collection tracking app, which you can see right here. And that was built with for the Android unit, so in Kotlin with XML layouts, and Firebase Firestore for the database. Let me go next. What am I building and why? What's in this for me? There's two ways to look at this. That's what's in it for me and for my users. In terms of what's in it for me, it means I get to have a finished iOS app in my portfolio and to improve my programming and design skills in Swift, SwiftUI and SwiftData. The app will help manage, view, share and plan recipes more easily for my users and more easily and more powerfully. And this is what it sort of looks like here. So you got like a basic view there with some tabs down the bottom. I'm now going to do a quick demo, just showing you the app. Please bear in mind the app's not quite finished yet. I just want to show you my progress because part of the conversation with the presentation is in 6 months' time, what does it look like? So I will show you this now. Let's go to the simulator. So this is kind of what the app looks like. So you can click on recipes, you can view them like this. So it's got ingredients, it's got name, picture. You can go back, which reverts to another view within the application. So you can go back, you can create a recipe. So if I wanted, say, come on, pizza recipe 2. I'm just going to go very basic. I can't. Test description 2, just for example. Let's say, okay, now this increment decrement counter will literally go up to 180, and then we'll sort of throw a message, error cannot increment recipe time any further. Same with decreasing, it goes to 0 and then stops. Let's just say it takes half an hour. Let's put an image. Now, one thing I do want to improve on for next time is putting some predefined images in. I thought though for development and testing, which is where sort of the app lies within the software development lifecycle at the moment, this is where it sort of sits, where I need, for now it just works. Later on though, for better user experience, probably want to move it to XC assets. So we can put that there. Next, I have some predefined ingredients. You can also define them here. So we're going to add the ingredients. You can also remove them by clicking on them. Then you can go back here. There you go, there's our other recipe. Cool, so we'll go back to the presentation. Come on. The application architecture, the technologies that are needed for the app. So there was some comparisons that I did between a few different technologies, in particular what parts of the infrastructure and architecture we need for the application. For database, it was between really SwiftData and Core Data. For a front end, SwiftUI or UIKit. Cloud technologies using Apple Cloud Kit or running as a local SwiftData Core Data database. Database, SwiftData was selected. Before we go on to why, I want to compare them two side by side. So SwiftData integrates seamlessly with Swift code, with macros and aiming for model schema to be written as Swift code, as you can see sort of by this one here, which is SwiftData. As you can see, you pretty much create your class, got your fields, attributes, initializer, and you can just, the model, it's an object relational database, so it'll just map straight into the database as the object. And it's also much easier to learn. Core Data is supported for more versions of iOS. SwiftData is only 17 and up. It has more features, and it's also an object relational database. I chose SwiftData because it's more modern, it's more developer friendly, and it was also quite powerful with Swift code. The front end and UI, I selected SwiftUI because sort of similar reasons to why I picked SwiftData, but I'll go into that in a minute. It's a declarative model allowing developers to describe using code how the UI should look, as opposed to UIKit, which is a bit more oriented toward designers. It's a newer, more modern technology in itself. UIKit's an imperative model. Developers must write step-by-step instructions. Simple UIs can be delegated to designers. It's older, but it does give you slightly more control over the UI. And actually, sorry, I forgot to say why I chose SwiftUI. It was pretty similar reasons to why I picked SwiftData, more modern, bit easier. Not saying it being easier can also be a bad thing. As I'm sure some of us probably know. But it can also, in this case it works, it's a uni project, I'm just learning. So SwiftUI is modern, it's easier to pick up, and the documentation's there as well. Cloud technologies, local was selected. There is a disclaimer at the bottom. I'm using local for now for testing purposes, but once I get to the point of the app where users need to be able to share recipes, it might be worth looking at CloudKit, and as the scalability needs to increase. So that's the reason why I'm choosing local for now for dev testing. And at this point, I'm not at the point where I need user share recipes because there isn't a feature that's built yet. Running locally for users' own recipes, ingredients, etc. can be used offline when you're using local SwiftData. Runs in the user's own iCloud account, more control over the data, and that's that. With Apple Cloud Kit, which is the cloud service that Apple use in containers, it must have an internet connection, obviously, to connect to it. More scalable, reduced maintenance. Yeah, and then the next slide. So what have I learned thus far? I've learned, obviously, how to write iOS apps with SwiftUI and data, how to select the database, front-end framework, and do proper comparisons. I've also learned that UI and UX is a lot more important than I first thought. I did learn this a little bit in my Android unit, and I do want to improve on my UI and user experience. Like, for example, before, where I was saying with having an XC assets for the predefined images, instead of being able to just pick images and then you got to go search, just bad user experience in my opinion, as I'm sure a lot of you would agree. What do I hope to see in 6 months' time? I hope to see a finished product, learn how to build and publish apps, learn how to make a profit from an app. And that is the end. If you want to connect with me on anything, by all means, I have LinkedIn and GitHub here. You're allowed to follow me, that's fine. If the QR codes don't work, let me know and we can talk after. I'm 99% sure they do. Because last time I had them expire.
I think
Any questions?
definitely if you figure out how to make profit with an app, please come back and tell us, because a lot of people would love to know the answer. Did anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Thanks for the talk. I'm just kind of amazed that your university course, you're learning both iOS and Android.
Nope.
Maybe no?
We learn Android. iOS I'm doing on my own. They used to be an iOS unit. They stopped it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I learnt C when I was at uni, so I don't know if that's showing my age.
We're going to do C++ next semester. So.
Yeah. Well, how have you found the comparison between iOS and Android? Obviously, you've learnt both.
Look, in terms of like just a comparison between the two, or
Yeah, I mean, do you prefer one or the other, or?
Yep.
Okay.
So look, me having used Apple devices since I was little, of course I'm going to sort of go the fanboy method and go towards Apple. But in terms of more technically speaking, iOS I find easier to write for, especially maybe because I haven't played with Jetpack Compose yet, but I know the way we learned Android at uni was when you've got XML layouts and then you've also got the Kotlin code. It was a weird thing just for me for some reason to grasp at the first point. And I like SwiftUI. This is more importantly about SwiftUI, and the reason why I prefer it is because SwiftUI you can just write it as code and use SwiftData as code. And I just find iOS a lot easier. It was easier to pick up. You do need a Mac for it. That's all right. But look, I did learn it a lot easier, and I find it more enjoyable learning Swift and iOS development personally.
Hi, thanks for the talk. Do you have any tips about learning materials or the way that you went from zero to where you are now with the iOS development?
Yep, so there's two ways I'd look at it. One is self-taught, just by building a project yourself, but before you get to that point, I learned there's a website called Hacking with Swift, and that was pretty good. Also learned to watch some YouTube videos on Free Code Camp. They were pretty useful as well.
I saw something. I just realized something pretty cool in your app. I realized you said you're using C# for it, correct?
For the iOS app?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, that's Swift. C# I used during my uni studies for other stuff, but yeah.
For the app, did you consider adding the Hugging Face API to it?
Sorry?
I mean, I just thought it'd be kind of cool if you added some kind of AI generation to the app, because what you can do then is that for the photos, instead of having to actually get them from your own phone and put them over there, you could actually just generate the photos on the app.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should look at that.
Version 3.
Yeah, version
Well, we can
50.
talk about it later.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I think it's actually a good idea.
Just wondering if you had an opportunity to experiment with unit testing. Have you written any tests for it?
Not with Swift yet. I have had a little play with it. I haven't done a heap with it yet. It's on my list though, because of course you need unit tests, or otherwise it's a piece of crap program, right? When I did C# at uni, we did a lot of stuff with XUnit and NUnit testing. Actually, which one was it? NUnit, I think. So yeah, I have done stuff with unit tests. When I was working as a cloud engineer as well, I had to write a bunch of Jest.js unit tests for a Lambda function. So yeah, it's on my list, and it's pretty priority on there. So I will get to that, yes.